and you should be hearing from your loan officer, whomever it is that's been assigned to your particular loan. So it was an acknowledgement. So that took about, in our case, 10 days. And in talking to a few other people I know that applied, exactly the same thing. I think they all went out today, or it sounds like anyway, people that I know that applied the same day we did all got an email today. That's what's going on on the EIDLs. Many of our members applied for those or applied for the PPP plus the EIDLs. That's where we are with that. In addition, we probably, the community coordinators are going to put together another video. You may have seen the one that we put together, about a month or so ago. Basically saying, postpone, come and see us, but not just yet. So we're going to work on the script and what that looks like tomorrow and get that out in the next week or so. So I'll tell you, we're going to work on that together, see what we think that should look like, probably more local driven. And I'll let you know what we end up with and how we think that should look. And now we're starting to talk more about what it looks like when we open up, whenever that is. And, Dave and I have talked about it. We've all talked about it. Everybody's talked about it. Everybody has an opinion on, and so what does that look like and for what businesses? And so to try to work with our businesses in advance to give them ideas of what they might want to consider in the process of opening up, knowing that there could be parameters when they open. Then they might be different from business channel to business channel, whether it's dining or lodging or whatever. So I don't have an update for you on reservations. I've not talked to any of our lodging folks in the last couple of days to know whether or not we've had any additional fallout for June or July. And the businesses that are open are doing, it's mostly restaurants. It's all curbside, and they're doing okay. They're there, I think, as an accommodation, honestly, for a lot of the residents. And I think many of them intend to keep curbside and takeout going even after things get back to the new normal. So we'll see what that looks like. But otherwise, we put a banner on the top of the hill, so when you drive by, honk. And there'll be another banner that's going to go down on the corner of Mill and 42 that'll be happy and springy and welcome spring. So that's where we are, and we progress with all of our festivals and events, everything beginning in June, and we're still working with. We're progressing like they're going to happen, and we also have a plan if they don't, and we have a plan if they do, but they're going to be different. So we continue to work on that, and brochure will probably go to print in about a week, and then start to be distributed along with other brochures through the paperboy in about 2 weeks. And so the first really big event we have to make a decision on is the goat parade. And so we're working with the team at L. Johnson's to figure that out, and probably won't make any decisions until May. And that's it.
Anybody have any questions of Louise?
No.
Okay. So let's stick with the business side of things at the moment. I'd like to call on Steve. Steve, do you have anything you'd like to share with us?
Well, for one thing, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, this is a great time to start a new ED job. That's for sure. There's a lot of challenges that we're having to face. There's no argument there, and moving into a recovery phase is going to be extremely important. Our first priority is to reach out to our business community throughout the county, including Sister Bay, and offer them the assistance they need in order to access the resources necessary for them to continue their operations and get through this health crisis phase. We participated and supported an economic impact survey that came through WEDC, is being managed by UW Oshkosh, and I anticipate maybe tomorrow, the next day, we'll begin to get the initial results from that, and it can be provided on a county by county basis, so we'll know what it looks like in Door County. That survey will be administered monthly. It was going to go through June, and now they're saying because of the results are getting in, it will probably go into late fall for continued administration on a monthly basis. We also have pushed out more communications, I think, than we have in our history during this period of time. The staff has done a marvelous job of making sure that we got good information going out to the community, and particularly to the business community. Tom sends out a special communication, usually weekly, to those who have requested assistance from us. So he stays in communication with those businesses, continues to answer the phone to help those businesses. So we will continue that into the foreseeable future. Soon, probably within the next 2 weeks, we will also administer another survey that is geared to baseline information for economic recovery. We also are applying for EDA assistance to develop a strategy for economic recovery that will cover probably the next 3 years to 5 years. It's going to be a challenge for every community, every state, and the nation as a whole. I want to go back to what Louise just said a moment ago. It looks like there's going to be some guidelines handed down as we reopen businesses that will force particularly those businesses where there's gathering of people, that they have to reconfigure the space in order to keep social distancing, at least for the short term. So we'll see how that comes down. I think California just issued or will soon issue those guidelines for their own state. So, and I want to thank Louise for making sure that the members there get our communications, and I appreciate that, Louise. Thank you very much.
Sure.
I want to turn it over to Tom. Tom is coordinating the responses and the outreach to our business community, is on top of most of the things that we have to discuss with these clients as they contact us seeking assistance for their businesses. So Tom, I'll turn it over to you, and then I'll make a closing statement.
All right, sure, thanks. I guess I'll start this off by saying I was a big fan of Steve as the selection for the new director right from the start, not knowing this was coming. And after the first week, his first week on board, I asked him if we threw him any curveballs, and he said no. Well, obviously that's changed. This isn't the onboarding that anyone would have pictured. But I guess the reason I bring it up is just how fortunate we are to have Steve on board as the director at this time, with a wealth of knowledge, knowing how to navigate, things at the state level, and knowing how to understand the programs that are coming on and anticipate, what the next moves are going to be. We are all, and Sister Bay included in that, is very fortunate to have Steve at the helm. So I'll try to keep this on the short side, but basically on March 17th, we kicked off the request for assistance form, where we started sending that out to businesses around the county to see who needs help navigating, this massive information that was starting to come out. And we now have a total of 208 respondents. A couple of them are duplicate, but of that, 38 are from Sister Bay. So we've been going through and continuing to make contacts with these requesters to see what help they need. So as of 2-3 weeks ago, the common response was they were just so happy that they had somebody to talk to on the phone, and somebody that they could interact with, to get some answers and to talk things through. This was a lot for us to go through, and that's our job, is to understand these programs that are coming online. The people that we're talking to, their job is to run their business. So as of 2-3 weeks ago, that was the general consensus. As of today, we have most of the people that we talk to have what they need for now, but are starting to grow, I would say, a little bit impatient with the timelines and the turnaround time. So we're basically providing as much information as we can about, the expectation, especially with the economic injury disaster loan. It's kind of okay, you filled out the first form, now wait. And then you will one day get an email that gives you an update like Louise got today. But beyond that, you can basically wait until you hear from a loan officer. So we're continuing to make those calls. We're on the third round of those. When I say we, it's myself, Kelsey Fox, Janet Proctor, and also Glenn Vandervelden. We've been making those communication or those contacts and continuously following up. And I'd also like to throw a shout out to all the business association coordinators, including Louise up front. They were all great to get the word out and make sure that anybody that does need help navigating the SBA programs that are available, make sure that they contacted us to get the information they need.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Any questions of Tom?
Tom, I'll transfer the money to your account for those kind comments that you made about me. I will say,
$8 is $8. What can I say?
Yeah, I will say that I feel fortunate to have assumed the leadership role at DCEDC simply because the staff is stellar and they're dedicated and they're committed. I'm committed to serving every community in Door County, not just a few, and that includes Sister Bay. I feel fortunate to live in this beautiful place now and call it home, and I'm dedicated to making sure that our community grows and prospers beyond this. I just know that we can get through this. We will get through this. And we'll do it together, and we will be stronger coming out the other side of this whenever that may be. I have no doubts about that because I've seen the generosity, I've seen the commitment in this community and throughout the county, and I think that that's a great starting place. I will tell you that just in this region, the last accounting I had is there's been close to $1 billion worth of PPP loans already approved at the bank level. The money was not flowing because they did not have a clear direction as to how money was to flow from Treasury back into the banks, because the banks are making loans out of their own assets, and so they needed to make sure there was a process in place. As of this Friday, the money is supposed to start flowing to those approved applicants, and it will not be coming soon enough. So just stay tuned. There's another bill in Congress right now. If it would just quit the partisan battles to add another $251 billion to the PPP program, it's estimated by this Friday that initial $249 billion will be encumbered. So it's prudent that Congress get to work, get the bill passed so that we have more money to work with. And there's a fourth phase of the stimulus that's already in discussion, which will add more money to the coffers and probably more programs. And so just stay tuned, but we'll probably see phase 5 and 6 out of this by summer. So I appreciate the honor of serving Sister Bay. The organization is committed to you and your prosperity, and our staff is your staff. So please don't ever hesitate to call on us. Thank you for the time tonight, and if there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Tom, did you hear anything about what did the Assembly, I think the Assembly passed the bill and it's going over to the Senate tomorrow in Madison?
I did not personally hear anything about that today.
Okay.
I did not either.
Well, the last thing I read was like 5 or 6 hours ago, and that was what was supposed to happen, but I haven't read anything since. Okay.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's move over to Jay.
Oh, we're still rolling. Had a great day off on Sunday, so the employees really enjoyed that. But just to let you know what we're doing in the store, we have like a lot of stickers on the floor. Also, we did put, we're trying to incorporate the one way with arrows and all that. We got signs all over the place, so hopefully people can learn how to do that. And then also we started today with pulling out the carts for people and wiping them down so they feel safer. You know, one of the biggest problems yet that we have is people coming in without masks. So I mean, it's very important, but you know, I talked a little bit with Chris and that, you know, and you know, it's, the governor has not made it mandatory yet, but
Jay, you can, as a business owner, you can make it mandatory.
yeah, we can, you know. So I think what we're going to do is look at possibly, I did get some of the, not the good face masks, but some of the other ones that we can hand out at the door also. So I think we're going to incorporate that. Otherwise, I mean, we're getting food back in slowly. You know, it's very, very tough to get the essentials that we need, the Clorox wipes and the sanitizers and all that stuff, you know, but hopefully, you know, we just get a little bit back each truckload and hope that we can keep doing what we're doing.
Okay. Thanks, Jay. Any questions for Jay? All right, great. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate everything you're doing.
Yep.
Do you have anybody from the Fire Chiefs Association or the coalition?
Just so you know, I did message Chris. He was busy at the moment, but he said he was going to try and jump on when he could.
Okay, that's fine. We'll just keep going then. John Lowry, you have anything to add this evening?
Johnny there?
I think he's muted.
I am muted.
I unmuted him.
No, I'm fine right now. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, John. Do we have anybody from the Pulse?
Yeah, he was here.
Miles.
Miles is muted as well.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hi, Miles.
Hey, sorry I was a little late. My dog ran off in the orchard. Took a little chasing.
What an excuse to get out.
Yeah. Jay, I just talked to Andrew Clyden, who does the podcast with me, or Jay just dropped off, or no, he's there. That he went to the pig today and he said there were masks everywhere on everyone, which he said was just great to see. And a drastic change from just a couple days ago going around in the Sturgeon Bay area. So, and he said like the staff doing it just made him pretty encouraged. I guess one thing that I've been talking to a lot more people about is as this starts to settle in, and now you've seen Gibraltar School close the school building for the rest of the year, is some people have asked, like, when do we start having a conversation about what things look like at a month from now or 2 months from now? And it's really hard conversation to have because we're so everything's so uncertain, but like, at what point do we think we need to have conversations with business owners about beyond the pig, but like, is there a scenario in which a restaurant could open in a month or 2 months, and what does that look like in other businesses? I don't know. I think that's worth maybe starting a group that talks about that. Jim Heiss from the hospital last night, if anyone was watching that, he did make the point, as we keep talking about like 12 to 18 months for a vaccine, he did mention, he goes, the fastest vaccine that he knows of that ever came to market took 4 years, and that was the mumps vaccine. So when we talk about a 12 to 18 month period for a vaccine, that's kind of like a miracle timeline. So if that's what we're talking about, like, we're at some point, we're probably going to open things at some level. And what does that look like? And more importantly, probably, what does it look like for our vulnerable populations and our elderly population? I don't envision people being able to visit Scandia Village for at least a year. I don't know that from anyone there, but you just look at the ground rules and it's hard to envision that. So what do we do to help that population, and how do we create avenues for elderly to safely have some normal life up here, if that is indeed the case. I don't know if anyone's got any feedback on any of that, but those are just some of the things I've been thinking about more from what I'm hearing from folks.
Miles, I do have something to add. I forgot when I was reporting before about what was done at the county level. Today, the county level, via the state, the public health departments and the EOCs, the Emergency Operations Centers, are starting to put together groups to look at what happens a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, how we reopen. And that group is actually forming. They had their first meeting today. I wasn't able to attend, but I believe the next one's on Friday. And they're going to begin to have weekly meetings, and they will incorporate the business community, the healthcare community, the various stakeholders that need to be involved at the various times. But they are anticipating beginning to look forward now, what happens a month from now, 6 weeks from now, 8 weeks from now, when maybe things can start to open up a little bit. So they are trying to be proactive with that. And like I said, that directive just came out today. And at the county level in Door County, we're just putting that group together beginning this afternoon.
As somebody, we're obviously talking about amongst ourselves, and ultimately, I know California, like has been mentioned, is working on guidelines. I think there's going to be guidelines given to places like Husby's, to our restaurants, to our retail stores. I think we'll have to obviously operate within those. We're thinking about what they may be, and having table service every other table, and spreading tables out, and pulling tables, and just having that thought of how we might be having to operate in the future, and then still not necessarily making plans about it, but being prepared for it. Because I think, I've heard some people getting, even partners of mine, like, oh, when this gets busy, we're going to need all this staff. I'm like, you know what, when it gets busy, that'll be a good problem for us to figure out, and we'll be able to figure it out in one day, but figuring out how to operate until it's busy is going to be a challenge for all of us. And it takes a lot more thought and a lot more planning and you got to change your mind every other day, because things will come at you that will require that. But I know for us, we're planning on whatever open we're going to be able to be. Is we don't view it as being normal. We view it as being limited. I think that'll be dictated to us, and it should be. But who knows? It's good to start talking about it though, because we have to.
Miles, anything else to add?
Yeah, I would just say, like, as you guys saw from getting that group together from the ground up, and like maybe even Sister Bay business owners or Door County business owners to try and help, and then wrapping maybe Destination Door into that of, all right, how do we get that message out then too? Like, we're being proactive. Here's what Door County is doing to make it safe here, just to give people that confidence moving forward in a better way. Because as we saw, you can't really wait for the directive, because when that directive comes, it might not have a lot of clarity.
Yeah, true.
Right. Okay. Any questions of Miles? Okay. Does anybody else want to add anything to the COVID-19 discussion that I haven't called on or asked about?
I do. I just want to chime in real quick from a follow-up from last meeting. Just so you know, we did follow up on the request to donate to the Fire Association, as well as the Door County Communities, the food co-op that they have going on. We did offer the money to Chris Hecht, and he was reluctant to take the $2,500. He is only accepting $500. So that is what we'll be giving him from the donation, and that was greatly appreciated. We are still working on getting the money to the right co-op, and to I can't remember his name. Adam. I reached out to him and had a conversation. He gave us a plan to either send him a check or deposit that money to him, but he was really appreciative of that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anybody else?
I just sent the board members, thank you, Lars, something that Lars forwarded to me that he got from the Tavern League, that the Assembly did pass the vote 97-2, and it's expected the state Senate will pass it. So this complements the CARES Act. It details for you the things that now local governments are permitted to do, the Department of Revenue is permitted to do, and so forth. And the Senate is going to pass that tomorrow.
Okay, great. More reading. Okay.
It's easy. It's short. It's short.
If there's nothing else on the COVID-19 agenda, we will move to another agenda item. Okay. What I'd like to do is skip down to item number 4. I know that we have people watching online, and we also have some people on the phone that are interested in this particular issue. This is a discussion regarding amendment of the Village of Sister Bay's declaration of health emergency in such fashion that the end date would coincide with the emergency declaration and end date established by the state of Wisconsin. I asked for this to be on the agenda. Right now, we're operating with a number of different dates. Our emergency declaration is through the 17th of April, and we said that we would reevaluate it. The counties is the 23rd of April, and the state is the 24th. So what I'm recommending is, or suggesting is, we amend our declaration to match the date that the state has in place and any subsequent changes that they make. So we'd move our date to the 24th. And if they change it to the end of the month or sometime in May, it would automatically move our date to that. This does not affect the 60-day length of time that our declaration has for life. And we put a 60-day sunset clause on it unless we go back and add to it. I'm only asking to change during the remaining period of our 60 days that are left, which is a little over 30 days, that any dates would coincide with the state safe at home order. So there's not confusion, particularly with our businesses and our hotels, as to what they can do or not do based on different dates.
Makes sense.
So
Make that motion if you're looking for a motion.
yes,
I'll
we
make
need a
that
motion.
Oh,
Who made the motion?
Baker.
Okay, I'll second it.
And Pat, second. Okay. Any discussion on it?
To understand this, it's still only authorized until this, 17th of May then?
Correct. The declaration itself is only authorized. It still has a sunset date of the 60 days. We're not affecting that. That would take a separate board action. This is only to get our declaration dates to coincide with the state's safe at home order until such time as we got to the 60-day sunset clause or we extended it.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So what that means is our date just got shifted to April 24th.
Yeah.
Okay. Item number 2, discussion regarding amendment of the village's personnel policy in such fashion that a section is added that delineates the village's position on the personnel issues which may arise with respect to the COVID-19 pandemic and preferred course of action.
Yeah. So this starts on page 7 of your packet. This was put together relatively quick fashion. It pretty much mirrors what the county did in regards to a special bank of hours that employees can use during this pandemic, whether something happens as a result of COVID-19. The main impact of this is to be able to have the village be reimbursed by the federal government if someone is to use these hours. As putting this draft together, staff, Tasha and I looked over this and realized there's a couple things that don't overlap really well with what we need done for FMLA. So what I'm proposing is if you guys have taken the time to read this draft, if you have any comments or concerns, throw that to us now. And then what I'm going to do is make a second document, a follow-up with those changes that need to get done with the FMLA format and laws so that everything is aligned. And then at the next meeting, we'll have a final draft to be approved.
Questions? Comments?
I got nothing.
Okay.
We'll get that second draft to you then next week for approval.
Okay.
Item number 3, discussion regarding the Marina Committee's recommendations regarding the effects of the CDC guidelines with respect to COVID-19 pandemic, as well as state and federal regulations regarding COVID-19 will have on the operation of the Village Marina. Consider a motion for action if necessary. Now, I know the Marina Committee just got done meeting a little while ago. So what do you got?
Pat, do you want to take the reins on this one?
Sure. So I think we decided, immediate future, there aren't a lot of seasonals that are going to go in. There's very little activity at the marina. We'll allow the boats to be launched. We will follow the guidelines of social distancing and not encouraging any kind of groups, but we're not going to allow transients or any gatherings of any kind. And then we're going to have a meeting 3 weeks from now. We've got some other project works going, but we'll revisit this whole thing, see what happened after April 24th, what it looks like, and go from there.
Okay.
And
Question?
within that, we're not going to open the bathrooms for anybody, the public or the boater ones. We're keeping those closed. We're not going to have, Amy will be down there limitedly, but there won't be office hours. We're going to do anything we can to protect staff that way.
I can give a quick summary of what the Marina Committee decided. So it's going to be open on May 1 to seasonal tenants only. Both bathrooms will be closed. The office will be closed. Staffing and hours are going to be shifted just to work and coordinating with this, so we aren't overstaffed. And then we will have the pump outs available.
Any other questions or anything else to add? Okay, we'll bring that one to a close. I know we just had an election. Obviously, we have some changes. Normally, the month of May is when we make committee assignments. So between now and say the end of April, I will have Janal probably send out a list asking people their committee preferences. Just go through, everybody knows what all the committees are, and take a look at what you would like to be on. And then we can have some discussions before we go into committee appointments. I would also remind everybody that your term will come to an end as of midnight, April 20th. And between now and April 20th, Janelle, you can correct me if I'm wrong how we do this. We can get sworn in if we don't have a meeting prior to April 20th. We can get sworn in before then.
Yeah, you could just go into the village office.
Right.
Or if that's not possible, I don't know, we'd have to check, but I would assume we could do it via Zoom as well.
Right. Well, if we have a meeting again next Tuesday, that would be the 21st. Okay.
We could do it then.
We could do it then. Right. So, okay. We'll just keep it with that. So we'll have 12 hours that Bo can be the benevolent dictator and just run the village by himself because he'll have no board.
Casino, Bo. Let's do it.
Working on one.
Okay. That's all I have. I don't have any announcements. Does anybody else have any announcements they'd like to bring up?
Nothing here.
Okay. If not, thank you, everyone. And I'm sure we'll be talking soon. A motion to adjourn would be what?
If I could go back to the Marina Committee
sure.
Comment, if that's possible. I know it's a little loose and fast, but there are some issues that we'll be addressing that with JDOC, and it might be a time for Parks and the board to look at whether or not this, and Marina's looking at it as well first, because we're going to get those numbers about the boathouse. I know we've had discussions about what we do with it. Do we tear it down as we go forward? There might be information coming our way to make it may make more sense to do it sooner than later. No decisions or anything. We got a ways to go, but it'd just be something I thought I'd put in your guys' ear.
Okay.
Yep. So depending on what Marina Committee gets, we may have to have a Parks meeting just to organize on that agenda item.
Okay. All right. Somebody care to make a motion to adjourn?
So
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.